Well, it is 7 o'clock, so we're going to call the regular board meeting, the Richmond Township Board of Trustees to order. We could please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, roll call, Kathy?
Sure. Coleman.
Here.
Webster here. DeVos.
Here.
Fontaine here. And Regan here.
Thank you. Next item we have tonight is the presentation of agenda. The only thing I have is at the request of Treasurer Greenham, just wanted to add the item for recreation discussion. Is there anything else anybody would like to add to the agenda tonight? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Yes, support? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion is carried. Next item we have is public comment on agenda items only. Any public comment?
Got nothing?
No. All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, is the approval of the minutes from September 14th, 2022 regular board meeting. Has everybody had an opportunity to review those minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Yes, support? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Also, next we have is the approval of the minutes from the September 26th, 2022 special board meeting. Need a motion to approve those minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do you support?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item we have tonight is the consent agenda. We have the building department report, EMS report, office manager report, planning commission report, and the NEMC minutes. Anything anybody would like to remove from the consent agenda tonight? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Support?
And support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Next item we have the financial reports. You'll have in your packet bills from Kathy. Anybody have any questions for Kathy before we approve the bills?
Just a clarification. This app river says spam watch?
That's our watch card.
Oh, okay.
So they get
That's
$36
totally
a
separate.
month. Yeah, then they give me at the end of the month a big list of things that they put in jail. And if I want something out, I can pull it out, but usually it's all for us.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, the app reader.
App river.
Any other questions for Kathy on the bills? Okay. Now, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve and pay bills as presented?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item we have is the treasurer's report.
Okay, treasurer's report, through September, the general fund fire fund, $973,182.41. The tax disbursement account, as of that day, $2,486,259.46. Other accounts, which include the recreation account, payroll, senior citizens, and drain account, $450,938.95. Investment accounts, $212,998.02. North Star, $103,857.82, which was reduced by the $96,819.70 something for payment for the driveway that went for the driveway. And the PDR account has $30,972.53.
Any questions for Cindy regarding the treasurer's report? Hearing none, treasurer's report will stand as presented. Thank you. Next item we have tonight is farmland preservation.
Yes. We're still waiting on the title company. We did run into some problems, so that's with the survey. We have those corrected. So it's back in the title company's hands, and hopefully not too much longer. In the meantime, Jonathan Yake and myself, we attended 2 meetings that the county had, the Planning and Economic Development, as to formulate a agricultural plan for Macomb County. That was held last week and the week before, there was 2 meetings we had to attend. That went pretty well, seemed to be fairly decent attendance. Other than that, that's it. We're just waiting. I don't know, you haven't heard anything.
I gotta check that email like every hour,
Yeah.
wait for it to come in. Come on! You'll get to see the party poppers down by Vern's house.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Vern before we move on? Okay. Hearing none. Next item we have tonight is the building report. Jeff's not here with us tonight. Not sure, I think at the last meeting we talked about having a price for that frame on the back door, but I have not received anything on that.
I know we're super busy with the smart building.
Yeah.
At meetings all the time.
So I think we'll probably hear some more on that next month. Is there anything anybody would like me to take back to Jeff? The record building? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the assessor's report, which is in your packet tonight. Is there anything you'd like me to take back to Christine for the moment? And hearing none, we'll move on to the library report.
Okay, I just talked to Julianne about the library link that there is on our page, and she just said that she would like to see if she can figure out a way that we can have a live link that people could connect directly to the Lewis Memorial Library. So she said that she's going to work on that, and she would talk to Chris, and she's updating the information on the lobby, so we should be all set for that with all these upcoming things that people can come and do. There's a lot going on, so it'd be nice to be able to share that with our community.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for your work on that. Does anybody have any questions for Elaine regarding the library?
She was just waiting for Vern to come get his card, so
Oh.
just making sure.
Make sure that-
She said,
I'll make sure that gets submitted.
Vern, pick me up on your way, because I think it might.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
"Okay, you're on."
Next item we have tonight, unfinished business. North marijuana update. As usual, with our rules and that, they have anything we'd like to add to that. Hearing none, personnel policy discussion. Vern and I had a very productive meeting with Sharon last month. Probably, what was that, an hour and a half or so? And we went through most of it was little stuff that we were able to work out. Some bigger things Sharon's going to take back and rewrite and provide us with. Her version, it'll be like we've done in the past, it'll be digital, and her corrections will be in red. Good. So I think she might have had some questions for you on maybe days or holidays or something. So she might reach out to you regarding it if she hasn't already. So it's in process, and we hope to have something for the board.
Yeah, she had a lot of ideas and insights into it. She helped us out a lot.
Take like a page and a half to address policy, and that's it down basically 2 sentences. Some of that stuff, but she's got all the legal lens of that, so. But, so look forward to that.
This will be the first, I'm just letting you guys know, this will be the first time you're gonna get paid for a holiday, but not working this Friday,
Yeah.
Veterans Day, right? Just so you know,
Mhm.
they'll all get paid.
Yeah.
I heard they'd rather have a day off.
So look forward to that, so I'll share that as soon as we get it, so you guys have time to review it. Any questions or concerns about that, we need to take back to her? Hearing none, we'll move down to new business. First item we have, GFL discussion with Mary Jo. You can see she's not with us tonight. I did try to send an email to her to confirm tonight, because I talked to her before our last meeting, so I'm sure she's very busy, but she's usually really good with communication. I really wanted to compliment her and also ask a few questions. I know, although things may not be perfect with her service, I feel like we are drastically improving. I know with my own eyes, I've seen 2 separate trucks one picking up the trash, one picking up the recycle. Maybe not through the whole community, but I've seen it, so I know they're at least trying. But I really wanted her to explain what's going on internally there. So. That's good.
I'd
Yeah.
like to know.
So that was my reason for trying to get her here in front of us. So
Do we have a lot of complaints?
this last week, it's been really quiet. I know there's a couple on the far, at the township border on the east side, that's having the recycling put in the garbage trucks.
Yeah.
Was that low plan?
What was it, Lord?
Boardman by Stockton.
Out there. And I know it's happening, and I encourage some of these people when I talk to them, if you're home and you see it, please give us a video. And we can share that with you. I've done that before. And,
I witnessed this morning.
in the same truck. So I know it's still happening.
I was walking down Main Street. Actually, it was noon.
Main Street in town.
Is that GFL
Would
or is
that be
that?
Atlantic County?
No.
That would be
Not part of us?
No.
Different people?
Isn't it waste management?
Might be waste
Did we-
management.
I think we have waste management.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, thank goodness for that, because we are on track. That's
We've
what I
had,
came-
we've had trouble with that before though, on the fringes.
Yeah, no.
For people that live on the edge and they're kind of out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're working on it in some spots.
They go out with one truck instead of two. You know,
Do you know, we had, went to a wedding on our, it was at their
Yeah.
house, and the neighborhood came, and then a few of them found out, they were talking about garbage, and they're like, we need to talk to her, and all of a sudden, it was like, flies, they all came, and it was all the same complaint, the two garbage, or recycling going into the garbage, and I told them, I said, it seems we get a handle on it, the complaints come in, they get a handle on it, I says, but I'm not making excuses for them, but you get a new route supervisor, and then those guys only make, what,
Well,
$15 an hour?
I
By
think-
the time you get them straightened out, they're gone, and you
I
got
think the
new
problem
ones coming in.
is they're not recycled.
No,
That's the whole issue.
I think there's a perception, I mean, people see it in a separate truck recycling.
Technically, they're not recycled.
Yeah.
So is that gonna end up coming up in conversation with taxes at some point?
We've had people ask that.
Separate charge, maybe.
well, we could, how do you take it out to the public to find out if they still want it or not?
Well,
Would it
it's
be-
in- it's in
it'd be
the
cheaper?
contract
Well-
now.
Do you guys remember when we had the discussion about adding something to the yearly charge or not having the same amount of recycling? So I think that has a lot to do with it. We opted against adding an extra $12 a year because not enough people recycle. You were gonna make everybody pay for it, and, you guys are probably all really good recyclers. My husband's a good recycler. His
We're
wife
really
is not a
into
good
recycling.
recycler. I'm not a good recycler, but he does. So,
I'm a very good
She's
recycler, I
not.
love to recycle.
I'm on the fence, if it disappears in my driveway.
But is that something we decide at the contract or time, or is that something that the public
They
votes
didn't,
on? Do
they didn't want it.
we decided at the time.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
Mary Jo came and sat with me and said, listen, China's not taking our recycling anymore, so in order to get it to the works, I believe, or the places that it would go and they would process it, we're going to have to pay extra money. So if you still want the service for all of the recycling, it's going to go up, or you can decide just to leave your bills where they are, which frankly, we lucked out because we signed on to them, as you all remember, in a craft storm of, they were Rizzo, and the next day, Rizzo got, that's literally the night before we decided that,
Yeah.
the next day in the paper. So we got a 10-year contract, and our price stayed the same for 10 years. A lot of other places have gone up 35 and 40% in the last couple of years. Their contract was 3-4 years long. So
We have 2 years.
What
in
they-
December
what
left.
they- Don't we have a fuel surcharge on that? Are they,
I think we do.
that's got, probably, that's not that cool. I would think.
But didn't we lock in on it or something?
That I can't.
I remember Bob saying something about that.
Yeah, just,
See, but then, remember, they come back and cried to us about the recycling again. And wanted to know, and we said, well, that's your problem, not ours. They asked us for more money again.
yes.
And we said, too bad, we got the contract.
Right.
And they said, well, we're not going to recycle. Well, we said, that's your problem.
When was that contract put in place?
Well, 8 years ago, must have been a few, so we
Yeah, I think it's
have
2 years from December is when the contract expires.
It will be sticker shock.
Oh, I
Because we've
believe
been
it.
paying this much, what, $176, and I'll bet you it'll be over $300.
Wowza.
And there's not, it's come to the point where there used to be a few little independent people that did it, but now it's like anything else, they're just getting bought.
With gas all the way it is, it doesn't surprise me.
No, no.
A couple of years, I don't know, we're gonna obviously gonna have to take it off. It is, you know, come back, but I think nothing's gonna get close to what we're paying.
When it comes close, you'll have to pull up that contract and copy it, give us all copies,
Yeah.
so everybody can really review what we have.
Compared to what we offer or whatever at the time.
I can't believe that they need you.
I know.
It doesn't feel like it. You said 10 years, there's no way, but we need to.
Everybody here that winds up going another term, there's pains.
Hey, speak for yourself. So, we're going to continue to monitor that, and we got a regular relationship between Mary Jo and Don and John Redmond and our site supervisor John. So we'll continue to monitor that. Is there anything specific that the board would like me to ask them aside of our concerns that we have? Okay, if anything comes up, please feel free to contact me. I talk to them weekly just about. So, nothing else on that. We'll move down to smart village renewal discussion. I know Jeff's not here. We're planning on not being here at the last meeting, but in front of you, we sent you some color copies of the flyers that Jeff had sent to, I think he sent it to everybody. There's links on our site now to take you to these flyers, and just wanted to stress how important it is to have an educator community on what this is about. And obviously,
What we're gonna lose if it doesn't pass.
potentially, yes. So, outside of that, there was nothing else that Jeff really wanted me to stress other than educators that you talk to. Any questions regarding the smart village? Always good luck.
Right.
We can post this at places, is that right, or is that not acceptable? Yes?
As long as we ask them and they're okay with us putting it up, yeah.
Because we're not telling people how to.
No, we're just educating them on what it does.
Correct.
But Jeff said on our own personal, your own personal
Yeah.
Facebook, you can put
Yeah,
whatever
you can
you
put it on your
want.
own
Sure.
personal.
Yeah.
And I did ask him, I said, these are good to post, just to be clear, right? He said, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to hear from him, so. If nothing else on that, we'll go down to the building inspector position discussion. So for this, I'm just going to ask for the motion to discuss.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Drew, I talked to him quite a while back. He plans on retiring at the end of this year. So he'll stay through December 31st. And he asked when he could turn in his letter of resignation. I said, well, anytime you could, because we obviously need to, or letter of retirement, I guess, or resignation. But we're going to need to fill his position. He said probably 2 weeks before he leaves is when he'll turn this letter in. So that does not give us a lot of time to look for somebody. So I wanted to bring it up now that it's October, and give us a few months at least, but didn't know how we want to go about filling this. Is this something you want a personnel committee, Vernon and I to meet on and form of something? The board, I've never been through this, so how do you think we
Well,
should proceed?
I feel like there's not a lot of them out there.
Right.
So I feel like our choices are probably somewhat finite. I don't even really know any other building inspectors.
Burns, doesn't Joe?
He's not, I
He's
talked to
not.
him, he said he's not interested.
Is it, you're looking for someone within the county,
Township.
or township?
No,
No.
it doesn't have.
No.
No.
It used to be they had to have a builder's license, but they don't even need that.
I have a builder's license, I did. Look at me, building inspector.
There you go.
No break.
I'm like, watch that. So, if he's, how certain was he just going to be done at the end of December?
He's, so I'm not gonna get.
Then we gotta start looking now.
We do, and I do have a potential somebody. I don't know, I need to reach out again. A couple of years ago, he said that he would be interested, but he's friends with Drew and doesn't want to push Drew out. However, if Drew ever decided to retire, he would definitely consider it. So, something to
You
reach
just
out.
ask him again and see.
Absolutely. Well, I asked Drew, because Drew sees him all the time. I said, can you please ask him? And then ask him to call me, and I will find him somewhere and be talking to him. Young local guy, builder, contractor. should have everything he needs, I think.
So there's a list of voters too, right? I mean, a hero, like there's Henry here.
Yeah,
And he's got a lot of kids, a lot of boys involved.
right.
Maybe the boys want him to.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I mean, there is a list of normal ones around here, not normal.
Right, and maybe that would be good to get that list together and look them over and
Yeah.
talk through a couple of them and, you
Yeah,
know.
if there's somebody that builds a lot in their township, like this guy, I'm thinking does a lot too, it would be nice to have maybe one and an alternate, that way they're not doing their own
Yeah, they
inspection.
can't do their own work, yeah.
No, but in that situation, you could have the alternate inspector, however you want to work that, but.
Where does this put Charlie?
Well, I thought about that, and I know when we talked last, I can't remember when, but when we talked last, we agreed that Charlie would get the certification, and he would do his end through the end of the certification. So my thoughts were, if we were to hire somebody, I would like that to go back to the one-person position at some point. If we got a new building inspector in here, could we keep Charlie on till the certifications are off, and let the new building inspector work with him? When Charlie's certs expire, the new building inspector would then cover the whole benefit.
That would probably work.
Is Charlie going to be done? So then, and he's not going to be the building inspector, just him?
He can't.
He
He
can't.
can't.
Could help.
Physical.
Yes, that's why we ended up doing the two position thing.
He does the plan review.
But we never really pay anymore, we're paying for a whole person.
They kind of
whether
split
it's
the
half-
duties and split the cost.
Right,
Uh,
but I didn't know how it worked out about that, so.
I'd be fine with that. I don't know how long does his certification last for, and, you know, how is the person?
I think he just got to be certified.
I think it's under 2 years from January 1st of this next year.
I feel like I don't know this, but from what I've heard, the plan review is, they make a fair amount of money on that for, you know, so you'd have to, whoever we hire would absolutely have to know that going in,
Mhm.
how long it's gonna be and that they won't be getting paid for the plan review.
Right, but they give the opportunity to kind of,
Right, learn from him.
Learn from
Oh, yeah,
Charlie.
he's
oh, yeah.
pretty awesome.
Well, if this person is just like Drew, if you got another job, having two people doing this job actually helps that person out.
Right,
I don't know if Drew would have took the job on if he went ahead. Charlie was his friend, but even if Charlie wasn't his friend, I think Drew needed the help. Because if you're running your own business and you're trying to do this, even with the gentleman you're speaking of, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if I looked at our thing there the other day, I think we had 4 or 5 new homes. I mean, that's not a lot.
But it is for us.
For us,
Or
it
it
is.
is for us.
sure.
And you got a new plan review on all that stuff, and then plus go out and inspect all that stuff. You can hardly do your own work,
Right,
you know. So I've always liked the idea that we have 2 people doing
and
it.
maybe that's something we decide to do around, right?
You know.
Plus we find-
But we have, like Cindy said, I think we have to ask the candidates what they think. And they're willing to work with Charlie.
Yeah, because they're shorter and used to
Right.
financially,
They are, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So at this point, maybe we'll get a list of builders and we can start making some phone calls and asking if anybody would be interested. Kind of go from there. And we can bring it back to the next meeting and see.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
That was one thing, that the personnel thing with Sharon, we talked about that. We're an at-will employee. Before, we always wanted to get, 2 or 3 people and do that. She said you really don't have to do that. If you have somebody that can fill a position, you can hire them.
To make the decision to hire them.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily isn't a list of builders because they don't necessarily need to be a builder to be an inspector.
We just need to find out if anybody's willing.
Right.
Well, that's where
We should even do it.
that's where we're even going to start. You got to have some knowledge or you're not going to,
Right.
That's where Charlie comes in play as a teacher.
Yeah.
He said he even learned a lot.
Yeah.
He's got endless knowledge.
Yeah.
well, that's what Joe was helping Drew a lot too. Joe's a builder, Drew's more of a Smith guy,
Right,
but they kind of work together.
Yeah.
right. But, yeah, so we'll start with a list of builders, see if we can at least find some interest, or at least one interest. We'll start with that, it's not, since there's no talking a list of candidates, if we only have one, so. yeah, I'll work on that, and I'll bring something back to the board at the next meeting. Okay, any last minute thoughts on that one? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the recreation discussion.
Okay, so I asked Chris if we could put this on the agenda tonight, after our meeting that you guys were, going to have a special meeting with Sir Med and Steve and I met with Andrea, and we just wanted to get some clarification on some items. And I think we learned a lot more about the grant and the direction of, you know, what it's supposed to sound like. The application itself is not out yet. But the thing that I took away from it, and Sir Person might have been bouncing emails to him for a couple days now, is that Andrea's suggestion was that when we apply for this grant, we have more of a plan in place. What we're looking to do maybe next year and the year after. Because they're going to want to see what our park is going to want to look like. Are we just going to want to have a trail, or do we want other things? And then she also suggested that we apply to the Walton Foundation or Wilson?
Wilson.
Wilson, okay. For some help with the part that we're going to pay. And we need to turn in a letter of interest by October 31st for that. And in that letter, we also need to state, this year we're planning on applying for monies for a trail. Next year we're planning on applying for monies for something else, and then something else. So what I need from you folks tonight is some direction on where you think we might want to look, say, the next 2 to 3 items that we would like to do with the park. I gave you, Sir Matt was kind enough to send this to me again, the conceptual drawing of the park as we had looked at before. And then the next page that you got came out of the master plan, recreation master plan. And it shows in years 2021 through 24 the things that we'd be looking at doing: playground apparatus, picnic pavilions, walking trails, exercise equipment, and additional sports field. So if you look at it, we're doing the walking trail thing. I'm thinking the next 2 on there are the playground apparatus and the picnic pavilions. Is that something we want to look at doing next? Do we want to do one of those at a time? Maybe put some playground equipment in next. And then picnic pavilions the next year. So I guess I need some direction and discussion, and I'm hoping that Sir Med remembers kind of what the cost was on some of these things when he gave that to us. I see in here there's an estimated cost between $200,000 and $400,000. But for instance, with the playground equipment for the safer young children, could you guesstimate what something like that would be if we were to shoot for that next year?
Yeah, just look, I mean, bear in mind, this document was created back in 2020. So
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, these costs are way
2 years old.
too low.
Way too low.
Yeah, these days. The playground, they're wild cards. You could spend 100 each. You can spend $500,000 each, or you can spend $20,000. It depends what kind of features you want. So that there is that, what they call a compass and like a complete style. And those come with a lot of features. And those, most of the time, are preferred by the municipality because they're contained in one setup, and they can go for a wider range of kids, rather than have like two levels. We just did one in Lennox Township, and it's above 100. Okay. Yeah, even my estimate last year was low on the play schools, because they go way up. So I would say around 200, depends on how many of them. Maybe 2 of them. 100, maybe between 60 to 100 each. And the playscapes go hand in hand with the pavilions, you can't have it without the other. So if you're gonna put one, please consider the other. Pavilions are, again, our estimate from last year was around 15 each. Then it depends what style, if it's all metal, the way they sit, what kind of roof, if you're gonna have barbecues with them, electrical outlets, it's very, very wide range. But I would go maybe 20, 25 each.
25. So on this plan, I see one right outside of the baseball field.
And there's one next to the restaurant.
Okay,
Small.
so that's a smaller one.
Yeah.
So if you were to put, say, 50,000 approximately for those two pavilions, a smaller one, would that be a fair?
And one playscape.
So if we were to say our next set of grant application would be for a playscape and those pavilions, it would probably be $300,000.
Do they have to, Cindy, do they have to know the amount of what we're thinking?
They have to know if I understand Andrea right, and she was kind enough to send me the template of a letter of interest that she had sent on behalf of someone, you have to describe the amount of funds you're going to be applying for. Because what they're doing is they're looking to write a check for, I think it's 30% of your match. So, if over the next 4 years, we're going to be looking to match, say, up to $400,000. And, they need to know, is the check going to be then for, is it going to be for $120,000, which would be 30% of that? Or are we looking to spend $600,000? So they would base their response to us on the figures that we give them.
Not that we're applying for that now, but that's going to be our future plan.
And Andrea did, she was really good to stress to us that we didn't necessarily have to put all this in, but if we are going to look to continue to try to fund our part with grants, this is the way to do it. And she's obviously written a lot of them and is super familiar with them and knows the language and, knows the people we're going to be asking money from, so.
Well, I think that those would be the most obvious because, like you take the soccer field and the baseball field, we could probably put them in, I wouldn't say ourselves, but, fairly reasonable compared to these things, these items here.
And I know Tom and I have discussed that too when he saw how much the baseball field was. And my response to him was, because we're a municipality and because everyone wants to sue us if they get hurt, I'm certain that they have got to have certain guidelines, true? Because if they don't, and thus the cost. I mean, because at times we put a softball field in, we can just get some tractors up there and we, so.
Bobcats for basin.
Right, that's what they get, So, but I think a lot of the cost comes because they have to be professionally engineered and somebody, and I didn't mean that as I just say they have to follow the guidelines that,
And if that baseball, what do you call it,
Darn dust or,
the very, very expensive.
is it really?
There's other alternatives.
Of course. But soccer fields are your cheapest, two buildings and grass.
So, would I be safe then saying that the next grant we would apply for would be a playscape and those two pavilions? Are you folks good with that?
Yeah.
So,
Did Andrea tell you to pull the other stuff out? To give him, I don't know if she talked to you soon that.
we all talked, and what I got from her was that when we submit this, whatever we decide on tonight, that's the plan we're going to submit.
So it
if-
won't look like all
Right.
mixed together.
So right now, it would look like the walking path and the playscape in these two pavilions.
Yeah.
So then, picture one more year out,
And then.
and then put something else in, what would we maybe want to do year 3?
It's the only thing I remember her telling me is that you can't use all this.
Right, yeah.
It's too much.
So,
That's why there was that updated plan.
Yeah.
Only the pathway,
yep,
and everything else is future.
because that's all I thought we were gonna need. But had she not told us that, we may have missed out on, opportunities to give her money. So, what do you guys think you would like to see? So say it's year 2 and we've got our playscape in and a nice bigger pavilion and a smaller one, then where do we go from there? Then what do you guys want to see after that? I mean, what is the natural progression?
There's already a soccer field here, isn't there? Right
We have a
now.
soccer field right out here.
Yeah.
Yep,
We have one.
Yeah, it's just one.
yep.
Or is this in hopes that people, that the schools will use this? Is
So
that?
ASO already uses that.
Okay,
We have some.
So do we need two?
Once we get more property, we'll have room for it.
so I would say the baseball field then, next, in my opinion, because if we already have one soccer field, then you can find a baseball field next? I don't know.
Well,
I look at basketball.
I was thinking
Baseball, you
tennis.
need a team.
yeah,
Baseball, you can play with 2 people.
well, basketball, you all shoot baskets by yourself.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And tennis is a good idea. I mean, those,
Well, I wonder if you have like the tennis court, can you also use it for a pickleball court and for a tennis court? I mean, can you do that?
Yes.
So that would kind of be like 3 options at one time.
But once this thing starts going, maybe the public will have a different opinion.
right?
That's my only concern.
Right.
But can we change, let's say that's what we do is that court for like the 3rd year.
Yep.
And then we come along and the public saying, well, we'd really like to, like to have a water splash park or something, splash pad or something.
Just open up bloodlet if you want one of those.
Yeah, I know.
But I know, they're cool.
I mean, can we change down the road?
Well, I think you can,
That's the thing.
but I feel like
If we can do that, I have no problem.
if we have gotten approval for some things based on the fact that this is the direction we're gonna go, can we change? I don't know.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this. Once you commit, that's it, that's how you operate, your operation.
Right, because I don't want to have to give money back because we changed the budget.
Exactly. So I would dial back, maybe look at this year and next year.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have to go that
And then
far.
future to be determined.
Plus, our recreation master plan is 2024, so we'll be looking at it again.
Okay.
So do you feel safe if we just go this year, next year? How do you feel about that?
That's my last name.
Huh?
That's my last name.
What did you say?
Ta-da, that's my last name.
So yes, I would, of course, I would, and certainly check with Andrea, if we can do a 2-year, maybe 3-year max.
I wouldn't want to go any further than 3. I would want to go with the walking path and then the pavilion and the playscape, and then if we have to go 3rd year, the
Then,
tennis/pickleball/basketball.
Although, can we put one thing before it, only because I've seen 2 different places do
Sure.
it already.
What do you
So like
think?
those workout stations, Washington Township has it, all the way down by Andrew is ridiculous, so it's crazy, built up down there. But that kind of went hand in hand with the walking path. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I see them being used like crazy all the time.
I don't know what they are.
Well, it's just like it's like a sit-up station, and then the next one might be geared for like leg stretching station, and it's all wood, you know what I mean? It's not something you're gonna jump into.
It's not
And
gonna be $100.
Washington Townships, it has a lot of awesome ones. But they're no bigger than a bench, sitting by the walking path. So when you walked your half mile, we need to do 10 minutes of this kind of warm-up, and it was all different things.
Okay, those are like micro stations. Have you guys visited the lines and seen the workout station?
I've never seen that.
It's
It's
big.
big, isn't it?
I went to Washington.
yeah, I've seen it through.
Oh, is it inside? And
That's outside.
It's outside.
Next to the pavilion, and it has several stations. So it's in one spot. It's really cool.
Really?
It has like logo on it, and it got a lot of extra on it, but that comes with a tag of 130.
Yeah, this thing I think could be built by a builder. No, it can't be, but I don't know, if you ever down Washington.
So are you saying there's like, every so often, there's something to stop and do?
Yes, or you could actually sit on it if you just wanted to
I would
rest.
need just a bench.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Resting bench. Well, we don't have to give it, but just next time if
Maybe
you're down
there
there.
should be a resting bench.
There should be, yeah, I agree.
But we do have benches along the pathway.
Can I ask this question though, you were talking about the path and the pavilions, what about that restroom that's there?
Well, that is talking big money.
Yeah, that's
Well, so
something we
that's-
can't afford right now.
So that's not in the first or
No,
second
it's not,
phase?
it's not in there, no.
Yeah, actually, the restroom would be the last item.
Yeah,
Because you want to wait and see how your park is being used.
yeah, that's true.
It's all user driven. I mean, now, we think a workout session is great, or a baseball field is great.
You might never get used.
Or a dog park, but you never know.
Yeah.
It depends on what we do. We think it's a good idea, but you're all looking at that.
Right.
It's like putting a car wash up north in a farm town.
No, okay.
They don't work.
Yeah, I think in the baseball field, I guess if it was there, who would use it, would be my first question.
So I mean,
Well, you may have, much like ASO, you may have Little League come out,
May.
or the girls may come out and use it.
But I know Memphis has got 5 fields, and I don't know how
Yeah.
many Richmond has, so it's like, well, is that enough? Who would use it otherwise? I don't know,
Yeah,
that's those questions that I
Well, when they
pose.
have tournaments, they might use, I don't know if they want to come up this far, but they might.
You might, yeah.
I can tell you, soccer fields are number one.
I believe that, yeah.
Local, also like the tennis and basketball, because those are easy to use. 1, 2 person.
Yeah,
Baseball, hardly used in this area, and it's surprising.
And maybe that is because there are such nice, the Little League has a whole complex, and the girls have,
in the baseball, they have to be maintained too in a certain way,
for sure.
right?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of different things go on in that field.
I like the tennis, basketball, pickleball idea, because tennis courts are the only ones that I know that are behind Arena High School.
Yeah, Richmond has them on BB.
BB Street Park's got.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're always being used.
Yeah.
So what do you think, should we try that next, pickleball, basketball?
That's even year 3 then.
Yeah.
That would be your 3.
I would go for the 2-year if they can, but
Right,
then if you think, nah, we have to go 3, then
Throw that in.
that's what I would think.
so just so I make sure that I'm getting the direction correct. I'm going to get a hold of Andrea tomorrow, and I'm going to tell her that we had a discussion here tonight, and that based on the discussion, year 1 would be the walking path, year 2 would be a larger pavilion and a smaller pavilion with a nice playscape, and that's as far as we'd like to go. If she feels that year 3 is going to make that much of a difference in our chances to get money, then we would be looking at a combination basketball, tennis, and pickleball court. I had that right, correct? Okay.
That's one court, right?
One court.
Yes, yeah.
That's all a combo court.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, that's
You're not
what
thinking
I'm-
that too?
Yeah.
Where are you saying is the second pavilion?
That little one.
That's
that's
the
to the
question I
right.
had to ask too, yeah.
Really, but right there.
Ah, gotcha.
That one,
Yeah.
that one.
Gotcha.
And this is preliminary, we can change.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No, I just didn't see it, sorry.
So, no, that's good. So I'll get a hold of Andrea, if not tonight, when I go home. If I don't email her tonight, I will email her in the morning. And she's super good to always turn around and answer me within a very short amount of time. And then I'll let you guys know what she says, and then I can get that letter directly to that foundation. And when the grant application actually comes out, then we will have, because you don't need that drawing out page cement for the letter of, no.
Actually, the latest plan that you have is good to go, because everything else is future.
Right, but did she say, I thought she said that we would just submit a plan that showed what we were planning on asking for in the next few years. So I'll clear up on that too, because if we're just going with 2 more years out, it would only be the placegate, the pavilion, and the basketball court. I'll get clarification on that, because I wasn't sure what she meant, so I would for sure get clarification.
And I would like the board to maybe give direction on the light. Because there was some discussion about lighting the path and the parking lot. By the way, your parking lot is lit.
That's what we were talking about.
You could use a little bit of extra
It's,
lighting.
it's different. That was the only lighting I was referring to when we talked.
Yeah,
before.
not
I never referred to the whole path being, the walking path being lit.
We need to do the parking lot before we do it.
Because there was a discussion about opening the park at night. And in order to allow people to use the pathway, you have to have the whole pathway lit.
Yeah.
It's closed, I think.
It's very costly. I'm still waiting for the numbers, but you'll be shocked.
I feel like if we're gonna go with lights, we probably will try to do the parking lot first. And if we ever get the funding to be able to do the pathway, then we can leave the park open later at night and we can do it.
I think the parking lot would not be part of the rec plan anyway.
No,
That's
but I'm sure there's
that's
energy
something we should
grants
be
out
doing,
there
period.
that would help with that.
Right.
And I'm sure contacting DTE would at least steer us in a direction to say, yeah, you could go here and look for money or whatever.
Should we? If we upgrade LED to.
That's what I'm thinking, they may give us.
Well, but they're square, they're
Yeah.
solid on the side. Like all that wasted space with a piece of metal that could be all illuminated.
So the consultant that I talked to, I gave him copies of and pictures of.
Yeah, I seen you taking pictures.
Yeah, and he said that's very old. And
Very old.
He's looking at it, so he's gonna come up with a photometric and to light bulb the entire parking lot and suggest, the type of fixtures and if the poles need to be changed or not, I don't know. It depends on the picture and how high it can flood. So we'll get that separate from the back, and I'll bring it to you.
As far as the pathway, we're not going to look into.
No, I wouldn't at this time, no. Because just like Jeanette said, we're going to be surprised what the parking lot will be alone.
Yeah.
And that's really something we should.
Yeah, we need to
It's
do
gotta be
that.
done first.
So does that answer your question about that?
Thank you.
Right. Okay, so thank you. Thank you very much. I wanted to at least make sure I had a good feel where we want to go with it.
Good, perfect. Well, thank you for your work on that. It's going to be amazing when it all starts, seeing it out there in the
And
office.
thank you to Andrea and
Yeah.
Jeanette.
Oh my gosh. We'd still be lost without them. So. Okay, well, thank you so much. Moving on, we have items for next agenda. I've got building inspector on there.
And maybe, will we have any update on the personnel policy for that?
I'll leave that under.
If she gets back with us,
Yeah, as soon as I get something.
we should be able to take that.
Yeah. I'll just leave it on there until we wrap it up and I'm finished.
Might want to put the park back on again, maybe you got some information.
Well, I was talking to Cindy before the meeting. I think what we're going to do, if the board is okay with it, is on our library report, just have a recreation report, which
Yeah,
just be
that makes sense,
a
yeah.
monthly thing, seeing as though they have a monthly meeting. It's like,
Yeah.
if there's nothing to report, there'll just be no report.
Yeah.
Going on, so. Anything else at this time? I think we got done. Hearing none on that, next item will be calls to board. Okay, I think you have an item I'm going to bring up on the call to board.
Yeah, but I could do that if somebody has something else to go over.
The only thing I had is I am working on contacting companies that digitize documents. I haven't heard back yet, but I just got some feelers and emails. I got a number from Shelby Township that's going through that right now for their people. So if anybody comes across anybody that does that, I will contact them.
Did you contact the nurse, Dan?
Yeah. Embarrassing. I will. At this point, I see who's willing to do it, and we'll just compile whatever we can and bring it back.
I will say one thing. My brother-in-law came over and we took care of everything that was in that senior center. And he drove drywall screws through all the hard drives of all the computers. So
Thank you.
we don't have to worry about that, it's safest from getting them wiped from tower.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of room, now we just gotta organize.
Okay.
So if the digitizing is way out of our
Yeah,
range,
yeah.
we got a couple of years
It
before the room
doesn't
over
hurt,
there.
it doesn't hurt to look into it, but,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And if it is gonna take a couple more years, maybe that's something we can put down in our
The
budget.
budget,
Just
for
budget a
sure.
couple
Sure.
years for then eventually.
Yeah.
So, okay. That'd be nice to know when we stand on
Still,
Oh, yeah.
New century.
it. A little bit anyway.
And
That's all I had, anybody else?
No. Are we all ready for the election?
Yes, we are. Yes.
she's
We
the
can't
picture
wait.
positive. We'll get through it. It'll be a good one, but we made a lot of room over there for it
Yeah.
than they had last time. Yeah.
Just one thing I want to bring up, just for, I guess, an FYI. At our last planning commission meeting, our planner Steve brought this to our attention, that with the cost of building and stuff now and everything, the way things are going, other states have already done this. They've stepped in and allowed more than one resident on a parcel of land. And Steve thinks that's probably going to come to Michigan too, where the legislator will step in and we won't have a say in it. It's just they're going to allow it. And we've had several just lately come to us about having two residents on a piece of property, one of, other walls, quarters, or separate of the house. And, we've had several of them. And he said, don't be surprised in the future that's going to be allowed, we won't have nothing to say about it. But that's just for you guys' information. That's not happening now yet, but he says he can see it.
It's kind of nice when the state takes it out of our hands, though.
That's true.
Yeah. All their guidelines, that's it.
All right, I just want to explain to you guys the flow of the bills, right? I never did realize nobody really went over this with you. Also by law, I'm just supposed to submit is the schedule of bills. And this is all the bills that were paid, so this is every check. And I don't expect you guys to know what all that is. So if you go to the gray one, this first one, on the top it says monthly expense report by account number. That explains to you, like under postage, supplies, office equipment, if you flip to the second page, all those checks that are written on that schedule of bills are written out here as to where they went to. Yeah. So if you look through this, you'll see exactly, like Elaine might say, why is Elaine McCollum getting $50? Or, and then the payroll is also on here. You'll see names of all the employees, which is not on the schedule of bills. Does it make sense, Elaine, to you?
Yeah.
And then on the very back, you'll see, this is the one that you might want to track. The very last page is capital outlay. And what I put in capital outlay is stuff that I have no other place to pull it from, even though we designate things to capital outlay and use up that whole amount, because I think the amount is 159 this year. There's other things that come up that have to be taken care of that get stuck into capital outlay. So like for September's, there was 20,000 going out in capital outlay. So then if you were to look at this sheet that I give you guys, and capital outlay, you're just gonna see that the 20,000 was spent with no description as to what. Now, if you guys want these forms, I'll give them to you. And then this is budget by department. This will show you, say like the copier lease, in July I paid it. August it was $135.44. September it's $204.46. But some things don't carry for the whole month, the whole year. Some things might come just once a year. So I try to list out on the bottom what they're for. Now, my question to you guys is, do you want these copies every month? This is what we're all gonna have to really pay attention to come to budget time. Because see, like,
I remember you were showing me this before, how you broke it down before, remember we were talking about it? So that was already helpful, but the more I see it, the more I understand.
You're understanding how it goes, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily need to see it every time, but I do feel that it's necessary several different times just to keep me updated.
It's no big deal, however you guys want it all. And this is just a guide. Although I have to amend things, like if we go over, you'll see how far over we are
So-
already in some departments.
Do we have something to do with the budget?
At our budgets,
At our budget meeting.
yeah.
At our budget meeting?
But for me to come out with this, the month before a budget meeting, it would all be overwhelming. I wanted you to understand how everything's
So,
going.
when is the budget meeting then?
Usually in March.
We'll set that meeting.
In January, February.
Set that meeting. And that's a total second meeting.
Okay.
And it's an
Usually-
all-
Saturday morning.
Usually on
Okay.
Saturday
Perfect.
morning and bring a
Breakfast?
sleeping bag.
Yeah.
It goes to Saturday night? Okay, so for me anyway, so this right now, we've already seen through September, so if we're making that meeting for March, wouldn't it be beneficial for us to review this again in this form, like January?
Yeah, and then we're gonna have to figure out the budget come February. We have to forecast March, April, May, June.
Yeah,
And we can't leave that out. I mean, we're taking our best guess.
yeah.
And that's where we really we don't goof up, but if we're gonna goof up, that's where it's gonna happen.
Okay, so do we do that
That's what I'm asking you guys, how soon, how many of these do you want to track so you can see where we're out of
I
whack?
would think that
Because right now, we are a little out of whack.
that's the most, to me, is it quarterly?
Quarterly, you want it?
I would say like every 3 months?
Okay.
That's what we January.
Or next one would be December then, right? Since this is September, we could see September's
Oh,
outlay, so December, and then.
Yeah. And then this I give you every month. But this is the full amount of that whole department one,
Right.
whole department two, like everything in it.
Which one do you have in your hand right there? What is that one?
This is the new budget short, so it's like,
Oh, it's this.
where it says clear.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're gonna
Yeah, I
have a lot of
like-
eyes on it.
I like this,
Which one? The by department? I can give that to you guys monthly. And then I can give you a total on each one too, you know, total line all the way down.
I like to see that, just so that I can get a hang of it.
On month to month. And you always gotta remember, it's the month before, just because you're looking at July, it's what was in June.
like this, we're looking at September, even
Oh,
though
yeah.
we're in October.
Right.
I always look at it as, we get audited every year, so we got a safeguard. You know, something's going wrong, John's gonna find it,
Right.
Yeah.
you know? And he doesn't just come in at the end of the year and go, he kinda helps you out as you go along.
He does, but he
I know.
knows, and I know already, we're
Yeah.
in a little bit of trouble this year.
Yeah. Mhm.
We'll get through it. I mean, we've got the money,
Yeah.
it shouldn't stay in trouble, it's just gonna be amendments,
Yeah,
shaking it
yeah.
around.
So, yeah.
But there's a lot of expenditures we had to have. The cemetery tree thing, cleanup, who's
Yeah,
counting
we
on
expect
that,
that.
you know? I mean, it's the things that are unforeseen that get us into trouble.
There's a lot of stuff we're not gonna have next budget year, so. We're not gonna have tree cleanup every year, painting the building or carpeting, so there's a lot of stuff.
Driveway.
Driveways every year.
You'd be surprised though, if something
No, I get
is in its
it.
place though.
The driveway's not on the lane.
Exactly, I mean, it never, if anything, it gets a little bigger every year.
Yeah, I hear you, but, well, thank you for laying that all out, Ken, for everybody.
And you guys ask questions anytime. If you don't get it or understand it, ask me. Because that's just my guy. Cindy's guy. Cindy did it. I didn't reinvent the wheel. I just rolled
Made it better.
Yeah. So you guys know where we're spending all your money.
Okay. Any other questions for Ken? Any other call to the board items you may do? All right, hearing none, general public comment?
None.
Hearing none. Next item would just be adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
It's work schedule. I
guys, when me and Tom went to BSNA, that place was amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I did look into getting a price check to do the other side of it.
Fees
It's
schedule,
it's hard to say.
fees.
Did they cost you?
Not yet, I just sent him another, he keeps asking me every day for something else, something else, something else. And I'm like, oh, it's just going up, up, up. Probably,
Building.
we'll see.
Do we get support on that?
Oh, I saw that here.
No, I didn't even get a motion.
I get a motion.
Motion,
you
motion, we
missed
get
it.
support to adjourn.
Get on it.
Vern usually always does.
Vern, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Please. What time do you
Oh, no, no, no.